Hi, I'm Andrea. Thank you for joining me for this 30-minute yoga practice. I'm standing on a yoga mat. If you don't have one to stand on, fear not. Just find a place in your house that isn't too slick. Maybe it's carpeted. Another couple of things that you might want to find for our practice. Blocks. If you don't have blocks, thick books will do the trick. A folded blanket or even a little dish towel, something to maybe pad your knees with when we get to the ground. A bolster could be in the form of something like a cushion from your couch. And then I like to have a chair nearby. It's helpful for balance and even things like getting to the floor when we eventually get to the floor in our practice. And then probably situating yourself so that you're facing me and allowing me to do the moving will give you the best view to see the instruction as well as to hear it. Let's start standing in our mountain pose, feet hip distance, palms turn away from each other. Think ears over shoulders, over hips, over heels, with a soft bend in your knees. Your gaze is at what I like to call our bright horizon. And we pause here to find our breath. If you can, breathe in and out through your nose, but mostly I want you to breathe. So any way that you can breathe is fine. And we pause here to stop so that we can start. We'll add a little movement to our mountain. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape, and then just float your arms along your sides, palms face out. Again, like that. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky, a V shape, and then lower your arms along your sides, palms face out. Inhale, V shape, thumbs to the sky. This time, hinge at your hips and take your hands to your thighs. Traction your hands on your thighs as you inhale and lengthen your spine, and then deepen the hinge at your hips, but keep your head above your hips. And arms out to the side, V shape, as we stand, and then stand into your mountain, palms face out. Again, like that. Inhale, V shape, arms overhead. Exhale, hinge at your hips and take your hands to your thighs. Inhale your heart forward, exhale, increase the hinge at your hips, and then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Float your arms along your sides. Inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips, hands to your thighs. Inhale your heart forward and exhale, increase the hinge at your hips. Then inhale, arms out and up, thumbs to the sky. Pause. Stand in your mountain one more time like that. Inhale, arms reach, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hinge at your hips and hands to your thighs. Inhale your heart forward, exhale, hinge, and then rise and reach, thumbs to the sky. Float your arms along your side. Situate yourself at the front edge of your mat, and here's what we'll do with our props. Take your chair with its seat facing you, just in case that turns out to be what you would like to use for proppage. Blocks placed on the sides of your mat, not right underfoot. It's very important that we be conscientious of where we put our props so that we're not tripping on them. And then find your mountain here at the front edge of your mat. Ears over shoulders, over hips, over heels. We'll add now a chair pose. So thumbs to the sky, bend your knees, V shape. Exhale, hands onto your thighs with a hinge at the hips. Inhale, press your hands into your thighs and lengthen through your spine. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips, and then place your hands on the base of your chair or onto your tall blocks and step your left foot back so that we're now in a lunge shape. Now you're going to traction your right heel onto the ground and feel your right hip draw back and your left hip draw forward. There's length through our spine, so we're not rounded. And it feels almost like we've got a plank position happening with our left leg, our back leg. That's actually not to give away the surprise, but something that we will dig into a little bit later. So that idea that this back leg is like a plank is actually going to come full circle at the end of this practice. Stay for a few moments here. And then step your left foot, hip distance from your right, hands onto your thighs. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, increase the hip hinge. Keep your knees bent, arms out to the side, thumbs to the sky, a V shape, and then stand into your mountain. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky. Inhale. Keep your knees bent. Just bring your hands onto your thighs as you increase the hinge at your hips, and then inhale, heart lengthens like a little dusting of a back bend. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips and place your hands on the base of your chair or onto your blocks. Step now your right foot back into the lunge position. Feel like there's a stamp of your left heel into your mat. You're drawing your left hip back and your right hip forward. Your back leg, your right leg, feels the oomph it will feel when we construct a plank pose. We're feeling armed and maybe not so much dangerous, but savorous, meaning we're savoring every bite of our practice. 3 moments here in our lunge. Our dismount is a step with our right foot hip distance from our left, hands onto your thighs. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips, and then stay in your chair pose, thumbs to the sky. Let's linger a moment, shall we? In your chair pose, we're not in a big back bend, we're not tucking our tailbone, we're just sitting as if to sit down into a chair. And then stand it up. Float your arms along your side, palms face out. Chair pose again. Inhale, thumbs to the sky. Exhale, hands to your thighs. Inhale, your heart lengthens. And then hands either to the base of your chair or onto your blocks. Step your left foot back. This time we will straighten the front leg, but we'll do it strategically. Keep your head above your hips. Press into your right big toe mound. Let your legs straighten, but think hinge at the hips. So we never want to round and fold. We're looking to be tall in the saddle, even here in our pyramid shape. And stay with it, savoring every bite in this new shape and stretch. Your back leg is strong. We're on the ball of the back foot for this pose today, and it sort of reminds you of a plank position also. 3 more moments here. Rebend your right knee a bit so that we can step the left foot hip distance from the right. Hands onto your thighs. Inhale your heart forward and exhale, increase the hinge at your hips. Keep your knees bent, thumbs to the sky. Let's linger like we like it in a chair pose for 2 more moments. And then stand it up and float your arms along your side, palms face out. Second side of our pyramid, chair pose, inhale. Exhale your hands to your thighs. Inhale your heart forward. Exhale, increase the hinge at your hips and place your hands on your chair or onto your tall blocks as you step your right foot back. And we build our pyramid by pressing into that left big toe mound, keeping a hinge at our hips and length through our spine, head above the hips. And we pause. We savor every bite on this side, in this shape. Enjoy the sensations of a stretch in your left thigh. Steady breathing. Three more moments here. Rebend your left knee a bit. Step your right foot hip distance from your left and take your hands to your thighs. Inhale your heart forward and exhale. Hinge at your hips a little deeper. Chair pose, thumbs to the sky. We linger. It's what we do today. 3 moments. Stand into your mountain, palms face out. One more chair pose just for goodwill. Exhale your hands to your thighs with a little hinge at your hips and inhale your heart forward. This time, as we position our hands on the base of our chair or our blocks, we'll take it to hands and knees. And then we want to be very skillful in the use of our props. So we'll move our blocks off to the side. I'm just going to move my chair out of the way so that you can see me. This is where you might want to bring into the mix your padding for underneath your knees. So a few alignment points that we're going to dig into before we get started, or as we get started in our next bit. So padding your knees, keeping your toes curled under, both of those things will be kind to your knees. And then let's think about our arms for a moment, shall we? With your hands spread wide, we want to make sure that your shoulders are over your wrists, and here's why. Not just because I'm saying it, but if your shoulders are forward of your wrists, it's too much of what's called extension at your wrist. So that doesn't feel good. If we're too far back here, we're not going to be able to do a plank position or really be situated the way we want to be here. So shoulders over our wrists, and then we also want to oomph into the ground enough that this isn't concave, we're not collapsing. We're pushing into the ground and filling out that area between our shoulder blades. So I'm not saying push so much you round, but just think shoulder blades on your back, because that's going to be the most stable place as we work a little bit into our arms. So we're doing some arm strengthening, and that involves our shoulders and our wrists as well. As you spread your hands wide, imagine that you have your hands in clay and that you want to make a full imprint of both hands, and that includes the inner part of your hands. Now lift your low belly towards your spine a bit so we're not in a super dump arch into our low back. Keep the shoulder blades on your back. So shoulder blades on your back, oomping into your arms. And then step your right foot back as if flirting with a plank. And remember, we did a lunge just moments ago and I said, hey, this is gonna come up. Here it is. Now keep oomping into your arms, especially into your right arm as you elevate your right leg off your mat. So make sure that doesn't become a collapse. Now you can stay here or come onto your left fingertips where we find a little bit of balance. And then thumb to the sky, left arm can reach out in front of you. And you want to think of your arm and your ear aligning. Now just check and see if, like me, you've started to collapse into your right shoulder and push the ground away, using some arm strength for sure. And keeping shoulder over wrist, spreading your hand wide, your right hand wide. And we'll breathe and lengthen through our left fingertips and our right heel for 3 moments. Now, place your left hand down and your right knee down. Sit back onto your heels for a moment and let's twirl our wrists one direction and then the other. You might even make fists and open your hands, just so we let our wrists get a break in between sides. And then we will be very attentive to our architecture on our second side. So remember, not too far forward with our shoulders, not too far back. Shoulders over wrists, hands spread wide. Step your left foot back as if to flirt with a plank position on our second side. Oomph into your arms enough that we're not concave. Maybe especially into your left hand, because we lift our left leg now. And we don't want to let there be a cog in the wheel where we're collapsed there. Are you breathing? Important to stay with the breath. Come onto your right fingertips, and if that's enough, or if it's too much, just put your right hand back down again. Perhaps right arm reaches out in front of you, and you align your ear and your arm. You're lengthening your left heel back behind you. Probably a very good moment as you lengthen your left heel behind you to oomph into your left arm. We are armed, aren't we? You can feel the strength in your arms. It's a nice thing to feel. Let's take this moment like a little meditation. Be careful not to collapse in your low back. I know I'm giving you a lot of instruction. Just do your best. That's all we can do, right? Savor every bite for another couple moments. And then release your right hand down. Release your left knee down. Child's pose. Sit back on your heels. Whenever I say child's pose, or really anyone does, if it doesn't feel good in your body to sit this far back, if it's too much of a bend in your knees, just take it a little bit further out in front of you. And it actually looks a little, almost like what I told you not to do on our hands and knees, which is still true. But you can always adjust these poses, including a child's pose, so that it feels like it works for you. It's kind of exciting that that's what you do, that you take personal agency in your practice. Now let's sit on our heels and do our little wrist twirls, because we are going to spend a little bit more time on our hands, on our arms. And then let's find the architecture of shoulders over wrists. Oomph into our arms and feel the imprint of our hands in the clay. It was a flirt moments ago. We're going to see if maybe we can move in the direction of actually doing a plank together. Step your right foot back. Feel that lunge leg that we talked about. And though we're not lifting the right leg off the ground, there's that buoyancy, that kind of liftedness that you can feel with your toes staying down. Oomph into your arms one more time. Lift your low belly towards your spine, and maybe step your left foot into a plank also. If it's too much, come back with your left knee on your mat anytime. 3 moments. So much arm and core strength all together here. And then bring your left knee and your right knee onto your mat. Let's sit back on our heels or come kneeling and do our little wrist dance. Maybe make fists and open hands. Sometimes that's really nice to do. And then once again, the architecture of shoulders over wrists, hands spread wide. Oomph into your arms so we don't create that concave feeling in the shoulder blades. It's shoulder blades on the back, as you may recall. Step your left foot back. We're flirting at the moment with a plank. Check that your hands in the clay are solid and spread wide. The inner part of your hands are also connected to your clay. And then step your right foot into plank. If it's too much, keep your right knee on your mat. Push and oomph into your arms. Breathe. 3 more moments. If that's too long, just come to hands and knees, no problem. 2 more. And then bring your knees to your mat. Come kneeling and do your little twirls. Maybe fists and open. And then slide onto your belly. You can leave your padding where it is if you want. I don't think it's going to do anyone any harm right there, or slide it off to the side. First, uncurl your toes. Let's come into a Sphinx pose just for a moment as a bit of a counter pose to a lot of planking. We're not quite done with our planking just yet. Now, start to oomph into your arms and actually move your elbows back closer to your body for a moment. And then round up. Remember, shoulder blades on your back. Curl your toes under. See if you can find shoulder blades on your back as we're here, and that means you're going to lift your ribs, your belly, your hips, your thighs. Maybe you keep your knees down on your mat, or start to lift your knees off your mat, and just like that, you're in another plank. Here we are into our arm strength again in a forearm plank. Here for 3. And again for 2. Bring your knees to your mat, your thighs to your mat, your hips to your mat, your belly to your mat. Uncurl your toes and allow yourself to be in your Sphinx once again. Now they say that good things come in 3s. I'm not sure who they are, but we are going to do 3 of these Sphinx to plank on our forearms. We've done 1. We're in the 2nd of our Sphinx. You can lower down and bring your elbows a little closer to your body if that's helpful, but curl your toes under. Oomph into your arms, shoulder blades on your back. Ribs come off the ground, belly comes off the ground, hips come off the ground, thighs come off the ground. Knees can stay on the ground or lift your knees off your mat also. Just do your best. Keep breathing. Nothing lasts forever, which when you're in a forearm plank is a pretty comforting thing to hear. 2 moments. Then knees to your mat, thighs to your mat, hips to your mat, belly to your mat. Uncurl your toes, let your chin stay parallel to the ground. Here in a Sphinx respite. 2 moments. Ready? Last round. Curl your toes under, oomph into your arms, ribs off the ground, belly off the ground, hips off the ground, thighs off the ground, shoulder blades on your back, maybe knees stay down or knees come off your mat. Last round. You're going to be very well armed after this practice. Let's stay for 3 moments. You can always bring your knees down if that's too long, or come back into a Sphinx shape if that's better. Knees on your mat, thighs on your mat, hips on your mat, belly on your mat. Make a pillow with your hands. Rest your forehead on your hands and windshield wiper your legs back and forth, releasing your low back. Just letting it feel nice. Couple moments here. And then we'll make our way onto our back. You can move anything that might still be on your mat. So if you left your folded blanket, you can move that off to the side. Reclining pigeon. So you'll take your right ankle on top of your left thigh, and that might be enough. Could be that this is perfect. Some people like to actually go to a wall and put their left foot on the wall. So you could do that if you want to. Maybe right hand through the space and you hold on to the back of your left hamstring. If it feels like a struggle with your chin to the sky, you could slide a block or your folded blanket underneath your head. Maybe you reach through the space and you interlace the front of your left shin. Now we're going to stay here and let this steep and work its magic for about 1.5 minutes. So make sure you're comfortable enough that you can do that. You might want to close your eyes. The good news is we're off of our arms now. We're lying down in the arms of the earth. And we'll take a silent meditation for a full minute together here. Ready? 1 minute starting now. was a full minute. Let's release this side and create our second side. So left ankle on top of the right thigh. You could stay just like this. You can put your right foot on a wall. Maybe you reach through and interlace around your right hamstring, or reach around the front of your right shin. Get settled in. One side might feel really different from the other. I know it sure does in my body. Just something to take note of. And then we'll take our full minute of silent meditation on this side, starting now. That was a full minute. Gently release. Place your feet on your mat. We'll take a supine twist. It just means a lying down twist. Scoot your hips to the right. Let your knees spill to the left. If you like the feeling of crossing your right knee over your left knee, you can do that. And then we'll come through center and scoot hips left. Spill knees right. Maybe you take your left knee on top of your right knee. And then return to center and find your way into our final Shavasana meditation. Snuggle your shoulder blades underneath you. You can keep your knees bent or straighten your legs. Spill across the floor. Let yourself completely let go. Shavasana. You're always encouraged to stay in your Shavasana meditation as long as you'd like. If you're ready to find your way back, wiggle fingers and toes. You can stretch your arms and legs away from each other. Gather your knees into your chest and roll to your side. Come up into any comfortable way to sit. Once you're seated, place your palms up or down. Take a moment to savor every bite of this practice so that you can take these gems with you off your mat and into your life. I'm Andrea. Thank you so much for practicing with me.